Behind those perfectly animated adventures of Bluey, there are shocking animation mistakes hiding in plain sight. Today, I will reveal 25 animation errors that even the most dedicated Bluey fans completely missed. And by the end of this video, I'll show you the most jarring animation mistake that changes everything. In episode 11 of season 3, Bandit is pretending to be a sheep when Bingo offers him some grass to eat. When Bandit sticks his tongue out to grab the grass, Bingo's hand completely disappears for a split second. The animators somehow forgot to include her hand in this frame. It happened so quickly you'd never catch it unless you were looking frame by frame. While Bandit is busy entertaining his youngest daughter, the animation team is likely so focused on getting Bandit's sheep mannerisms right that poor Bingo temporarily lost a limb. It's these tiny oversights in the most ordinary scenes that remind us how complex animation really is.
No, you have to eat it for real life.
While playing in bed with Bingo in one episode, Bandit is spinning around when something very strange happens. His tail completely vanishes. It's not hidden behind his body. It literally disappears mid-spin. Did the animators get so caught up in the fun scene that they forgot to draw Bandit's tail? This tail mystery happens so fast that you might think your eyes are playing tricks on you. Interestingly, tails are one of the most challenging parts for cartoon dogs to animate consistently. The constant movement and positioning require extra attention from animators. In this scene, Bandit is moving so energetically that his tail seems to have spun right out of existence. Perhaps in the Bluey universe, dog tails can temporarily dematerialize during particularly enthusiastic play sessions.
Bluey, help! What's going on? He went on and now he can't get up.
In the takeaway episode, there's a bizarre moment when Bluey is pretending to take an order, and her snout actually separates from the rest of her face. For a split second, her nose appears to be floating in midair before her head catches up. This surreal animation error makes it look like Bluey can detach parts of her body. This particular error reveals something fascinating about how Bluey characters are animated. The characters are built in layers, with different facial features sometimes animated separately to create more expressive movements. In this case, the layers didn't move together properly, giving us a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse at the animation process. It's like catching Bluey's face in the middle of a magic trick.
So, madam, what would you like?
I'm just gonna check on the spring rolls.
I'll have some super spicy, please.
In the space episode, there's a touching moment when Jack and Rusty help Mackenzie overcome his childhood fear. But during one scene, Mackenzie's eyebrows completely disappear. The little border collie's distinctive eyebrows are present throughout the entire episode, except for this one shot. How did the animators forget such a key facial feature? Without his eyebrows, Mackenzie briefly loses a significant part of his expressiveness during an emotionally important scene. Perhaps the intensity of confronting his childhood trauma was so great that it literally shocked his eyebrows off his face, thanks to viewer George, who first spotted this peculiar error.
Is that true, Chief Scientist? Yes.
After the Imaginary Friend episode where Chili and Bandit act like mobsters to get rid of Bluey's annoying make-believe buddy, there's a profile shot of Chili where her snout appears dramatically off-center compared to her head shape. The marking on her head also looks distorted, making her face appear oddly asymmetrical in a way that's very un-Chili-like. In this brief moment, Chili looks almost like she's from a different show altogether. It's as if the normally composed and structured mom character briefly slipped into a more abstract art style, giving us a cubist interpretation of Chili that Pablo Picasso would appreciate.
I need 20 minutes when no one comes near me.
What?
Oh, yep, okay.
Bandit's distinctive yellow belly is one of his defining features, separating his look from Bluey's all-blue appearance. But in episode 14 of season 1, when Bandit spins around, his yellow belly patch completely disappears. 1 second, he has his normal yellow stomach, and the next, it's entirely light blue like the rest of his body. Did Bandit suddenly become a chameleon? This error is particularly striking because it temporarily erases one of Bandit's most recognizable traits. Without his yellow belly, he suddenly looks much more like an adult version of Bluey herself.
Dad?
Yeah, mate.
Is everything in the whole world made of atoms?
In the beach episode, Bluey has her eyebrows painted yellow, presumably from the sunscreen Chili applied to protect the girls. However, in a top-down shot, when Bluey leans backward while Bingo is burying her in the sand, her eyebrows suddenly appear blue again. The animators seem to have forgotten about the sunscreen detail they established earlier in the episode. What's fascinating here is how this tiny detail reveals the complexity of maintaining continuity in animation. Someone on the team carefully thought to add yellow eyebrows to show Chili's thorough sunscreen application, a very Australian detail. But then the detail was lost in this particular shot. Perhaps the ocean waves washed away the sunscreen during their beach play? Or maybe Bluey's eyebrows have magic color-changing properties we've yet to learn about. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, or you might see Bluey completely disappearing from the show.
And you give me legs. Woo! Legs.
During the chaotic barbecue scene in Spy Game, when the grill catches fire, Chili's distinctive brown facial marking briefly flips from one side of her face to the other. One moment, it's in its usual position, and the next, it's mirrored on the opposite side before flipping back again. This happens so quickly that most viewers never notice this strange facial transformation. This error reveals something about how animation shortcuts sometimes work. Rather than redrawing Chili from scratch for this quick-moving scene, the animators might have flipped her existing model to create the opposite angle, but forgot that her asymmetrical face marking would then appear on the wrong side. It's like Chili briefly stepped through a mirror into a parallel universe, where everything is reversed, then quickly jumped back to our dimension.
Okay, here's the plan.
In Bob Bilby, we see what appears to be Trixie and Stripe in the background at the mall. But something's off. Stripe's fur is significantly darker than usual, making him look like he's sporting an extreme tan. Meanwhile, Trixie looks normal. Did Stripe just return from a beach vacation, or did the animators accidentally use the wrong color palette?
This is Bob visiting Daddy's friend Steven. He let Bob turn the siren on, but it was very loud.
Still, in the takeaway episode, the person preparing Bandit's food order has completely light-colored fur on her head. But when she appears again at the end to hand over the order, her fur has magically changed. Now the top half is gray, and only the lower half is light. It's as if she got a partial dye job during the episode. While the main cast's designs are likely carefully documented and checked, background characters might not receive the same level of scrutiny. Perhaps the character designer intended for her to have a two-tone look all along, but the message didn't reach the first animator who drew her. Or maybe she really did dash to the salon while Bandit was dealing with his chaotic takeaway adventure.
Cat girl, I'm not sure you can eat it for real life, but I'm hungry.
In the mobile phone episode, Grandpa Morty has a tea set with cups in front and a kettle behind. But in the very next scene, the kettle mysteriously moves to the front without anyone touching it. Then, when he accidentally knocks over the kettle, the cup that should have been knocked over too is still perfectly in place. Are the tea set items secretly alive? While the characters are busy playing make-believe, the actual objects in Grandpa Morty's house seem to be playing their own little game of musical chairs. Perhaps Grandpa Morty knows some actual magic tricks beyond his charming phone personality. After all, when you're entertaining grandkids, a little sleight of hand with the tea set might just be part of the performance.
Okay, roger that. Be careful.
Also, in mobile phone, Grandpa Morty secretly puts a plush crocodile in a delivery box for Bingo. The odd thing is, we later see the same crocodile both in Bingo's delivery chest and back in Grandpa's crate at the same time. Then it disappears entirely from the crate. Did the crocodile magically duplicate itself? This stuffed animal sorcery is especially delightful in an episode all about make-believe and imaginative play. The magic toy confusion matches perfectly with the playful chaos of the girls' delivery game. Perhaps in the Bluey universe, toys really do come to life when no one is looking, like a certain Pixar movie about toys. It's either that, or Grandpa Morty has a secret stash of identical crocodile plushies for surprise deliveries. Either explanation is equally charming.
Landing in 3, 2, 1. Chief Scientist.
When Bandit, playing a sheep, bites and pulls Wendy's sweater off the clothesline, he drops it on the ground. Nobody picks it up. Yet in the next shot, the sweater has completely vanished from the yard. Did the wind blow it away? Or is there some kind of clothing-eating monster in the healer's neighborhood? Poor Wendy can never catch a break with the healer family's wild antics. First, her peaceful clothesline is disturbed by a grown man pretending to be a sheep. And then, her sweater vanishes into the ether. This error actually creates an unintentional comedic moment. It's as if the show is saying that Bandit's chaos is so powerful, it can make objects disappear entirely from reality. No wonder Wendy always seems slightly annoyed with the healers living next door.
You are a very cheeky sheep.
I'm sorry, Wendy. He doesn't listen to what anyone says.
In that same clothesline scene, we initially see a blue sweater, pink towel, and yellow gym outfit consisting of a t-shirt and shorts. Yet suddenly, black socks appear on the clothesline, even though they weren't there moments earlier. Does Wendy have a magical clothesline that generates new laundry? What makes this error particularly interesting is how specific it is. Not just any random clothing item appeared, but black socks specifically. Perhaps there's a parallel universe where Wendy is hanging up socks instead of a sweater, and for a brief moment, the two realities merge. Or maybe there's a mischievous animation gremlin who loves adding socks to scenes. Either way, Wendy might want to check if her clothesline has supernatural properties. In the magic episode, when Bandit and Lucky's dad are working in the yard, there's a pile of dug-up dirt visible. When the scene changes, the dirt is completely gone. But during the dance between Bandit and Pat, the dirt reappears as if it never left. Is this the magic Bluey was teaching Bingo about? This dirt disappearance happens in arguably the most appropriate episode possible, magic. While Bluey is teaching Bingo about pretend magic inside the house, real animated magic is happening outside with the vanishing and reappearing dirt. The timing couldn't be more perfect, as if the episode is breaking the fourth wall to demonstrate that animation itself is a kind of magic where things can appear and disappear at will. Maybe the real magic lesson was in the animation errors all along.
And did you teach her the most important rule about magic?
I couldn't remember it.
When Bluey uses magic on Chili in the magic episode, throwing her mom to the ground, Chili falls where there are drawings and colored pencils scattered about. But when she gets up, the drawings are all neatly arranged together with the pencils in the middle of the room. Did Chili develop super speed tidying skills? This error unintentionally reinforces the supermom image that Chili often portrays in the show. Even when being knocked down by pretend magic, she somehow manages to organize art supplies in the process. Perhaps this isn't an animation error at all, but a subtle nod to Chili's incredible mom powers. After all, what's more magical than a parent who can tidy up faster than the laws of physics should allow? Every parent watching probably wishes they had Chili's instantaneous cleaning abilities. In the box mini episode, as Chili comes down the stairs, we see a plain wall in the background. But when the camera angle changes, a clock and a picture of Bluey suddenly appear on the wall. It's as if the healer house is constantly rearranging its decor when no one's looking. The house itself seems to be playing along with the magical box theme by manifesting wall decorations out of nowhere. Maybe the healer house is secretly sentient and enjoys participating in the family's imaginative games by creating its own little surprises. If the walls could talk, they'd probably say, "Look what I can do." In episode 5 of season 1, Shadowlands, during the game, the pups avoid stepping in sunlight, and Sausage and Coco's moms stand behind Chili. But when the scene angle changes, these moms are suddenly in a completely different position. Did they teleport when we weren't looking? Perhaps the moms were secretly playing along with the kids' game, leaping from shadow to shadow when the camera wasn't on them. Or maybe they're demonstrating advanced parent skills, the ability to be in multiple places at once. Every parent watching probably wishes they had this superpower to keep up with their energetic children.
Kids and cupcakes, eh?
In the healer pup's bedroom, Bluey sleeps by the window in a bed with a capital B, while Bingo sleeps closer to the door in a bed with a lowercase b. But in the weekend episode, while Bingo is still sleeping in her usual spot near the door, the beds are mysteriously switched. Did they redecorate overnight? This bed switching error is particularly interesting because it involves a detail that most casual viewers would never notice: the specific lettering on their beds. The fact that the animators created this distinction in the first place shows the incredible attention to detail in Bluey's world. The capital B for the older sister and lowercase b for the younger one is a subtle touch that reflects their ages and personalities. So when this carefully crafted detail gets mixed up, it's like catching a glimpse behind the curtain of this meticulously designed universe.
And she's got sushi shoes, and there's rice at the bottom to help the shoes stand up.
In the asparagus episode, when Chili and Bingo are turned into lions and attack Lucky's dad, there's a split-second moment where Bingo's paw actually passes through Pat's leg. It's as if Bingo has developed ghost-like powers to phase through solid objects. This error is so brief, you'd need supernatural vision to catch it on the first viewing. What makes this error particularly fascinating is how it accidentally aligns with the episode's theme of transformation. In a story about magical asparagus that can turn family members into different animals, Bingo somehow gains an additional superpower: intangibility. Poor Lucky's dad can't catch a break, now having to deal with not just regular lions, but ghost lions that can pass through physical matter. It's like the animators got so caught up in the wild transformations that physical laws briefly stopped applying altogether. In the barbecue episode, when Bingo causes chaos with the water hose and everyone rushes outside, Little Socks has a truly bizarre animation error. Her eyes completely disappear. Not only that, but her snout seems to be positioned behind her head. Poor Socks looks like she's undergone some kind of cubist transformation. This error unintentionally creates the most avant-garde moment in Bluey's history, with Little Socks briefly appearing as if she stepped out of a Pablo Picasso painting. What makes this particularly amusing is that it happens during. The Creek episode contains not one, but 3 separate errors involving Mackenzie's appearance, making it a veritable showcase of animation inconsistencies for this little border collie. When he emerges from the bushes at the beginning of their adventure, the distinctive white spot on his forehead mysteriously vanishes, giving him an entirely black head. Later, as the kids make leaf boats by the creek, half of the dark fur on Mackenzie's face disappears, as if the crystal clear water somehow washed away his coloration. Then, by the time they return from their nature expedition, both of Mackenzie's legs have turned completely white, when normally he has one black leg with a white paw and one white leg with a black paw. It's as if their creek adventure gradually transformed Mackenzie's appearance throughout the episode. During the hilarious horsey wedding scene where the girls have Bandit and Stripe play horses, there's a moment when the dark blue part of Bandit's head completely disappears. His entire head becomes light blue, making it look like he's suddenly gone bald. The stress of being a horse groom was apparently too much for poor Bandit's fur. And finally, the most shocking error of all. In one brief moment during a heated scene, Chili's entire face structure seems to glitch. The animation layers separate, making it look like her features are floating apart from each other. It happens so quickly you'd think you imagined it, but slow it down frame by frame, and you'll see this truly bizarre facial transformation that completely changes how we see Chili. Did you spot any of them before, or were they all new to you? Let me know in the comments below, and do watch our video about all hidden details in Bluey you never ever noticed.